This season, the Memphis Grizzlies are going to go as far as Ja Morant goes, and I think that Ja Morant may have a good chance to be MVP of the league. Welcome in or welcome back. Day 10 has us talking about the often overlooked Memphis Grizzlies, first and foremost, as a fan of basketball and someone who appreciates the former Celtic greats. Happy jersey retirement to one of the most tenacious defenders of all time, Tony Allen. Absolutely deserved. The Grizzlies are kind of interesting to me, and they always sort of have been. When they showed up on the scene, Ja Morant and Jaren Jackson and Desmond Bane and those core guys were so good that they were hitting outside of their expected target. They were swinging for the fences, and they were really surprising everybody else in the league. When they kicked the Warriors out of the playoffs a couple years ago, I don't think anybody really saw that coming except maybe the people in Memphis. But again, that was a couple of years ago, and a lot of things have changed since then. Most importantly, Ja Morant. Now, obviously, Ja Morant has had to battle his own demons off the court, and he dealt with some injury issues as well. He missed the first 25 games of the season last year, played 5 or 6 games, looked fantastic, by the way. Probably wasn't going to win any sort of awards because of how many games he missed previously, but if you just block those 25 games out of your mind, he looked like he was going to win MVP and run away with it. But again, played those 5 or 6 games, got injured, and then the Grizzlies were what they were. Because of his absence, though, it did allow for the explosion of talent that is Gigi Jackson. Gigi was probably one of the more feel-good stories of the year last year. Super likable. Really hard to not like him. Obviously, you saw the moment that he had with Shaquille O'Neal, and he was obviously so very close with Chris Paul. These kind of stories helped him become one of the most likable players in the entire league. It only helped that he was a really good basketball player. The key for him this season is going to be, can you keep that kind of production, and can you continue your stardom with Ja Morant back in the lineup? Because obviously, without someone like him, Desmond Bane had to pick up more point guard responsibilities, and Jaren Jackson Jr. picked up the ball more. So you have to find a way to impact a game that doesn't require having the ball in your hand, and there are areas of GD's game that he could improve on. And I don't want to be like too crazy, but I really do think that this season could prove to be the kind of season that Jalen Williams had in Oklahoma City last year and the year before last. We could very easily be talking about someone who is a most improved candidate and maybe an all-star in a couple of years. Jaren Jackson Jr. is obviously going to play a pretty pivotal role for this Memphis Grizzlies team, and I have a soft spot for Jaren and the Memphis Grizzlies entirely. When he came into the league in 2018, I thought that he was a great prospect. I felt like he was a better prospect than maybe not DeAndre Ayton at the time, but certainly better than Marvin Bagley Jr. just because of what he could provide on the defensive end, the height that he could reach on the defensive end. So then when he got paired up with my favorite West Virginia basketball player ever, Javon Carter, it really felt like a return to form to that grit and grind era in Memphis history. Now, that never panned out. Javon Carter got traded, and he's now, since been on a couple different teams, and Jaren Jackson has been this mainstay for the Memphis Grizzlies. But that doesn't take away from the fact that I still believe in what he could be and what he can continue to be. Obviously, my biggest nitpick on Jaren Jackson Jr. is, for someone who is 7 feet, your inability to rebound at a really efficient rate, at a really high rate, is kind of flabbergasting. Like, I know that he plays on the perimeter a lot, and I know that he is really keen to take that transition 3 at the top of the break. But, dog, you are 7 foot. If you can't rebound well, it's going to be really hard for your team to excel. Now, the Grizzlies did pick up somebody who could potentially fix all those rebounding issues. I just don't know what we need to expect of him coming into his rookie season, and that rookie being Zach Edey. Now, I'm going to be honest, okay? I'm going to be super upfront. I was not, and probably still am not, very high on Zach Edey, only because I feel like, because of how much basketball I have watched throughout my life, you're able to distinguish what a good college player is versus what a good NBA player is. Think of someone like Tyler Hansbrough. Tyler Hansbrough, way back in the day for the North Carolina Tar Heels, was a consensus college player of the year and was a serviceable journeyman in the NBA. I don't necessarily think that that is what Zach Edey is. I mean, he's a 2-time college national player of the year, and there are definitely some times where he puts on a show and it looks like he definitely belongs. My concern with him, and what a lot of concerns are for him throughout NBA discourse, is his lateral quickness, his shiftiness. Is he going to get brought up into a pick and roll and get burnt every time? There are some questions that need to be asked. I will say that the likes of Tony Allen and Chris Vernon in that local Memphis show, they seem to believe, because they have insider baseball on the whole ordeal and they have people within the practice facility seeing these practices and how these all play out, they believe that Zach Edey's going to be just fine. And I am such a big Chris Vernon fan that I am definitely not going to question it. So if he says that Zach Edey is going to be good, I'm going to believe that Zach Edey is going to be good. Maybe not a rookie of the year kind of good, but definitely an all-rookie team kind of good. There is one bit of housekeeping that I think the Grizzlies kind of need to address. There is a lot of youth on this Memphis Grizzlies basketball team. There is obviously a youth movement going on with Ja Morant and Jaren Jackson Jr. being at the helm of this, and obviously supplementing that with guys like Gigi Jackson, who are very young. There is one player on that team that I feel is kind of sticking out like a sore thumb, especially now that Derrick Rose has retired, and that's Marcus Smart. Some of you may know that I'm a Celtics fan. It really hurt me to see Marcus Smart get traded, and it hurt even more that we won the championship without Marcus. I was sort of happy that he ended up in Memphis because, again, like Tony Allen, a Celtic going to Memphis and having that defensive tenacity kind of vibe and pairing that tenaciousness on defense with someone like Jaren Jackson Jr. was really good. But Marcus had a lot of injury issues last year. The whole season kind of got derailed after Ja Morant came back and then subsequently went out with an injury. So do you trade Marcus? Do you see if there's a contender at the All-Star break and see if someone wants to grab him for a couple draft picks? Because, again, I love Marcus, and I'd love to see him be in a situation like he is now where he can take young guys under his wing, like a Ja, like Desmond Bane, like Gigi, and mold them into a good professional basketball player. But I think at some point the timelines just don't mesh up, and you're going to have to make a decision about that. I would love to see him end up obviously back in the Kelly Green, but I think there's really going to be a question on whether or not Marcus is part of this team's future or not. That's all I've got today. Where do you think this Memphis Grizzlies team is going to end up? Are they a top 4 seed? Are they going to disappoint? Let me know down in the comments below. Check my link tree while you're at it. Be kind. Tell somebody you love them. I'll see you tomorrow.